Hello my darlings, and welcome to a series that I like to call A Witch's Home. In each episode, I like to give you a little glimpse into my witchy home and practices. In this video, I'd like to show you how I redid my front door. Let's do some magical crafting. But before we do, a little disclaimer. I'm happy to share a peek into my home and practice. My witchy tools and decor are the result of many years of collecting books, herbs, and magical ingredients. I've spent years crafting magical recipes and decor for videos on this channel. It is not necessary to own these items to practice magic. Everyone's practice looks different. Yours does not have to look like mine. I want to start this journey by giving you an idea of what my door looked like before. It was a sad sight to come home to, but it had been this way for so many years, I think we all forgot to even notice it anymore. A sad jute rug that's wrinkled and too big for the space, a faded and scuffed light blue door, and an angry red no soliciting sign. It works to keep salespeople away, but it's an eyesore for all of our other visitors. I'm sure that I can devise a more magical way to keep salespeople away. And what do we have sitting in the corner? A bag of birdseed for the small birds. And here's an ancient, weathered plastic bin of peanuts for the crows. We love to feed the crows and other birds each morning, but these containers could use an upgrade. We don't have a doorbell, so every visitor has to use this ancient and ugly door knocker. The curtains are a sad khaki that's been sun-faded for a decade. So this is what we're working with. But before we start renovating this entryway, a quick word from this video's sponsor. Instead of taking outside sponsorships this year, I'm sponsoring my own content, so this video is sponsored by me. Over the last few years, I've designed a whole series of magical journals, planners, and blank grimoires, and I'm creating new witchy workbooks all the time. These magical crafting books can be found on Amazon and at the link below the video. The blank grimoires are the perfect place to store your notes about crystals, herbal plant allies, and tarot or oracle cards, or to plan out spell work and rituals. The journals are filled with writing prompts to get you in tune and aligned with your goals and values, and to help you begin shadow work, daily affirmations, or a gratitude practice. And the planners are undated and versatile, so you can plan your perfect morning routine, your week, or your month. To get your magical journal, planner, or blank grimoire, check out my magical crafting books at the link below the video. When redoing my front door, I decided to be extremely extra and do a lot of projects. I've added chapters to this video so you can watch the elements that interest you. The first step was to wipe down the door and prep it for paint. Besides cleaning off the years of dust and grime, I also wanted to energetically clean the door, so I chose to use some Florida water to wipe down the windows as well. Then I used painter's tape on the windows and all of the handles, and I removed the old door knocker. One last thing I did before I started painting was to add some sigil magic to the door. I had 2 custom stamps that I used to make sigil spell bags for my patrons last year. Of course, I chose the stamps with house protection sigils on them. The round sigil is for the intention, only honest, happy, and helpful energy will enter this home. The other sigil is for the intention, my home is protected and serene. With the door cleaned, energetically cleansed, and the sigils marked, it's time to paint. I chose a dusty purple color. There's no rule or tradition stating that a witch's front door must be purple. The idea that witches have purple doors is likely a modern association, and it's not a widespread practice. In various cultures and traditions, the color purple can be associated with mysticism, magic, and spirituality, which might contribute to it being chosen for witches' homes. Next, it's time to replace the old sun-bleached curtains with something more fun. I found this twin-size sheet with a purple background and floral and bird patterns on it for $1 or $2 at the thrift store. A twin sheet was just enough fabric to create 2 curtains. Because the fabric was not double-sided, I had to make the curtains double thick so that the pattern showed through the front windows and also looked nice inside the entryway. I just measured my old curtains and cut the sheet to size, sewed a pocket for the curtain rod, and then finished all of the hems and edges on the sewing machine. With the new curtains hung up, it was time to replace the old door knocker with something a little more witchy. I chose a bronze-colored owl, and even though it was a little larger than the original knocker, we managed to install it in the same spot with very little trouble. And now for some cleanup. I decided the peanuts and birdseed needed new matching containers. So I shopped around, so to speak, in my own pantry at home and found these 2 airtight food containers that I was not using, and some old labels that I had saved. And these became my new containers for the bird treats. Next, I wanted to create a witchy wreath for the left-hand side of the door. I decided to go with this wooden wreath with a moon and cat. I kept it simple by painting the entire thing, front and back, a flat black. Once that was completely dry, I used a glitter sealant to cover the entire moon while leaving the flat black paint unpainted on the area of the cat. Once the sealant was completely dry, I added some purple flowers to the wreath using hot glue. I just cut the artificial flowers off of these bouquets and glued them down in a cluster, starting with the smaller flowers at the top and the larger blooms moving down the shape. I think these dusty purple flowers will complement the paint color I used on the door. And here is the final wreath. Let's put it on the door and see how it looks. The next project I did for the front door was to create a burden basket. This is a fun little magical item where anyone who is entering my home can lay down their burdens before coming in the door. I found the perfect basket at a thrift store for $1. It had a flat back and was not too large. I think this basket was originally intended for a houseplant, so I simply removed the plastic lining that it came with. I decided to put a magic sigil on the back of the basket, so I wrote out my intention sentence. Lay down your burdens before you enter. I removed all of the vowels and any repeated consonants. I was left with LYD, WNR, BSF. And it looks like I missed the last consonant, the letter T in the word enter. But this will not matter when I create the sigil, as there are multiple letter T shapes included in the final version. I used the letter shapes to create several sigils, and I finally came up with one that resonated with me on the 4th try. I painted the sigil onto the back of the basket with white paint. Then I added a purple ribbon to the basket to hang it on the door. This was not entirely needed because the basket has a handle, but I wanted to add a little bit more purple to tie everything together using color. I hung it low on the left-hand door with a small nail. I think it looks cute underneath the wreath. Now let's try to bring this old table back to life. I'm using a product called Feed and Wax. It's a product made with beeswax and orange oil, and it's a miracle product that I've used and loved for years. This rickety little table is for packages so they don't get dropped on the ground. The Feed and Wax worked even better than I had hoped. I got this 4x6 area rug to replace the wrinkly jute rug. I liked the way it looked like it had sigils or magical symbols all over it. So let's take a look at the final door makeover. And here's a quick reminder of what the front porch and door looked like before. Thank you for joining me for this episode of A Witch's Home.